Good day everyone, especially to our well-respected instructor of this class, Dr. Pante. So we are the science majors and here is our detailed lesson plan in Science 10 with the topic carbohydrates, specifically monosaccharides and disaccharides. So allow us to start.
Okay, let's start our day with a prayer. Everybody please rise. Jeff, may you lead our prayer for today. Amen. Thank you. Mayong hapon, magandang hapon, good afternoon. Okay, before you sit down, let's warm ourselves up for today's class through dancing. By the way, this dance is entitled as the monkey dance. Just follow the steps in the video. Alright, well done class. Thank you for your participation.
You may now be seated. Class Secretary, please take note of those who are absent or excused today. Thank you. So before we start, let me introduce to you our classroom standards through the word carbs. Each letter of this word has the corresponding standards that we need to follow. Please read each standard as it appears. Starting with the letter C, please read. Next is the letter A, please read. How about the letter R? Please read. To our fourth letter, letter B, please read. Last but not the least, please read. Okay, well done everyone. So all in all, our classroom standards for today includes carefully listen, always participate, respect everyone, behave properly, and silence your gadgets. I hope that as you read our classroom standards, you will apply it to yourselves, not just in this classroom, but as well as in any settings.
Okay, now, before we proceed with our lesson, let me first ask you a question. What is one food that has always been part of a Filipino cuisine? Yes, Bea? Very good. Rice never left out of the radar in Filipino cuisine. More so, our meals usually don't feel complete if there is no rice, right? Yes. From when we were young until now, rice has been part of our diet. Now, I have a question. In what food group does rice belong to? Yes, Kathy? That's right. It belongs to carbohydrates.
Now, is everybody ready for our lesson for today? If you are, say, always ready. That's good to know. Today, we will be discussing the topic biomolecules, specifically carbohydrates, monosaccharide, and disaccharide. For you to be guided, here is what is expected of you today in our class. Everybody, please read. Okay, thank you.
At this moment, let's proceed to our first activity, which is entitled as Activity 1, I Believe. Class, please read the directions. Thank you. So are you familiar with its Showtime's Miss Q&A? Alright, in this activity, you will be doing the same. I will be showing you a picture. If you know what it is, raise your hand to be acknowledged and you must present your answer starting with I believe, followed by 3 descriptions and your final answer. Is everybody ready? Let's start with the first image. Yes, Nico. Precisely. How about our second image? Yes, Maria. You're raising your hands. Very good. We're at the last image. Yes, Alvin. Well done.
These food items are examples of what? Correct. These are examples of carbohydrates. I have a question for you. Since we will be talking about carbohydrates today, how do you define carbohydrates in your own way? Yes, Denver. Very good. Carbohydrates for us humans are our main source of energy. The word came from the French term hydrate, the carbon, which means hydrates of carbon.
Let us now proceed to our next activity entitled Break It Down and Mix It Up. Everyone, kindly read the direction. Okay, thank you. So in this activity, I will be showing you flashcards, which has the types of carbohydrates written in it. What you're going to do is to define the following types of carbohydrates by separating it into two words, its prefix and the root word. Then define both separated words and then combine their definitions to get the definition of the specific type of carbohydrates. Do you have any questions? Since there is no other questions, let's break down the keywords of the lesson. We'll start with our prefixes or the phrases we attach at the beginning of the word. To begin with, we have the word monosaccharide. To break it down, let's first determine the prefix. So, what do you think is the prefix? Yes, Aryan? Very good. When you say mono, what usually pops to your mind? That's correct. It means one. How about the next flashcard? What is the prefix? Yes, Jay? That's correct. What does the prefix di mean? Very good. It means two or double. Lastly, what is the prefix of the word polysaccharide? Yes, Christian? Good job. What does we mean when we say poly? Well done. It means many or several. These three prefixes are used to describe how simple or complex something is. So in this lesson's case, we describe how simple or complex our sugars or carbohydrates are, which we call saccharides. This is from the Greek word saccharon, which means sugar. Since I already mentioned the meaning of saccharides, let's now combine the prefixes to the root word, which is saccharide. Start with, when we say monosaccharide, this means that. Very good. It is the simplest type of carbohydrate. So when we say disaccharide, it means that. Yes, that's correct. It is a combination of two monosaccharides. Lastly, when we say polysaccharide, it means. Correct. It means that it is the complex sugar made up of multiple or many monosaccharides. In naming our sugars, we use the suffix "-os" to do so. Suffixes are the phrases we add at the end of the words. We will also encounter the term isomers in our lesson. Isomers mean, everybody please read. Thank you.
Okay, so let's start our discussion with monosaccharides. We mentioned earlier that monosaccharides are the simplest sugars. Everybody, let's read what monosaccharides are. So monosaccharides are the basic subunits of carbohydrate, meaning they are the building blocks of more complex types of carbohydrates. Furthermore, monosaccharides are very water-soluble, meaning they can be dissolved in water. This is because they have polar hydroxyl groups in their molecular structures. So we have three common examples of monosaccharides. Namely, these are glucose, fructose, and galactose. So please take note of this. So starting with the glucose, so it is known as dextrose. It is the most common and abundant monosaccharides in nature. The word glucose is from the Greek word glucous, which stands for street wine. Where do you think we can find glucose? Okay, Nico, You're raising your hand? Very good. So we can find glucose in our bloodstream. So in your grade 8, you were taught that the carbohydrates and proteins we eat get broken down during digestion, right? Good. So during the digestion process, the carbohydrates we eat get broken down into monosaccharides or glucose, which are absorbed into our blood and transported to the cells, providing the energy they need to function properly. So we need a steady supply of glucose in our bloodstream because it maintains our bodily functions. Excess glucose gets stored in our liver as a glycogen, which could be used at a later time. So what do you think when there is too much or too little glucose in our bloodstream? Okay, yes, Mary, well said. So another hand coming from Jeff. Okay, good job. Okay, so when there is too much glucose, our pancreas secretes insulin, which causes the cells in our liver, muscles, and the fat to absorb the glucose and store it as a glycogen. When there is too little glucose, the pancreas secretes glucagon, causing the liver, the muscles, and its fats to convert glycogen to glucose. So another example of monosaccharide is fructose. As the name suggests, it is the sugar we get from fruits and honey, also known as levulose. And as fruit sugars, these are the sweetest sugars. So lastly, we have the galactose. So the term coming from the Greek word galak, which means milk. So it is the component of lactose found in milk. Okay, so we're done with the examples of carbohydrates. So earlier, we defined as isomers as, okay, yes, Jay? Well said. So it is a compounds with the same molecular formula. So monosaccharides have the same molecular formula, but they have different molecular structures. So this makes them isomers. So looking at the image, here are the monosaccharides we have discussed in their cyclic and chain structures. So each corner of the cyclic of the structure monosaccharides is a carbon atom. As you can see, all structures have the same number of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms, but are constructed differently. If we count it together, we can see that all of them, glucose, fructose, and galactose, have 6 atoms of carbon. Then there is also 12 atoms of hydrogen and 6 atoms of oxygen. The way our atoms are arranged determines the shape and the properties of each sugar. Such difference in the shape and properties causes them be used differently in our bodies.
Another topic that we're going to discuss is all about disaccharides. So, in our earlier discussion, we described the monosaccharide. What is monosaccharide? Yes, Ken. Correct. Monosaccharide is a simple sugar unit. How about the disaccharide? Anyone have an idea about disaccharide? Yes, Arthur. Correct. Disaccharide is also known as 2 monosaccharides combined. An example of disaccharides are, first one, we have sucrose or table sugar. When we say table sugar, ito yung ginagamit natin in our daily living. Katulad ng pagtitimpla natin ng gatas, kape, at saka gatas. Next one, we have lactose. Lactose, or also known milk sugar. So when we say milk sugar, meron siyang sugar sa gatas. Yung ininom natin mga fresh milk, nagko-contain yun siya ng lactose or milk sugar. Next one is maltose or malt sugar. When we say maltose is ito yung iniinom natin mga Milo o Ovaltine na nagko-contain ng malt sugar. Now, let us dive in how disaccharides are formed. Sucrose or table sugar. When we say sucrose, we combine two monosaccharides, which is the glucose and fructose. Okay? Glucose plus fructose is equal to, correct, it's equal to sucrose. Next one, we have lactose or milk sugar. When we say milk sugar or lactose, we need to combine glucose and galactose. Glucose plus galactose is equal to, yes, correct, lactose. Next one is maltose or malt sugar. When we combine two glucose, glucose plus glucose is equal to, correct, it is equal to maltose. Okay, let's dive in the hydrolysis. When we say hydrolysis, do you have an idea what is hydrolysis is? Yes, Eunice. Okay, hydro means water, and let's hear from Margie. Yes, Margie. Okay, this is called unbind. When we put it together, hydrolysis is formed. Water is unbind in the process. Okay, hydrolysis is broken or separate out, meaning to unbind when the addition of water molecule. Okay, let us proceed to the combination reaction. When we say combination reaction, do you have an idea what this combination reaction is? Let's hear from Joy. Okay, that's correct, Joy. Combination reaction means joining together or combining together. When two monosaccharides are joined together, they form glycosidic bond between them, as the water produces a side product. Let us proceed to the condensation reaction. Kindly read. Okay, thank you. When we say condensation reaction, when two molecules are combined, meaning they join together, the water is lost in the process or taken out in the process. When the maltose is formed, when two glucoses combine, the water is taken out in the process. Okay, let's move on to disaccharides. When we say disaccharide, they are isomers. When we say isomers, what is isomers again? Yes, let's hear from Denver. Okay, Denver, you are correct. When we say isomers, they have the same molecular formula. The disaccharides molecular formula is C12H22O11. Okay, let us proceed to the cyclic structure of disaccharides. Each corner of the cyclic structure of disaccharides have the carbon atom around them. As you can see, each cyclic structure of disaccharides have the same molecular formula as I said earlier. The molecular formula are carbon 12, hydrogen 22, and lastly oxygen 11. Same with monosaccharides. The atoms are arranged in disaccharides determines their properties and shape of each sugar, such as difference in shape and sugar causes them to be used differently in our bodies. The oxygen atom between each monosaccharide and for every disaccharide are called glycosidic bond.
Okay, so now let us proceed with another task, which is called a sentence completion. Direction: define the following terms by filling up the blanks. So, first, carbohydrates are. So, does anyone in the class know the answer? Okay, Anna, I can see you raising your hand. Carbohydrates are. Okay, very good. So, next is monosaccharides. Monosaccharides are. Okay, Benedict, I can see you raising your hand. Okay, very good. So let us proceed with the last one. Disaccharides are. Okay, I see you raising your hand at the back. disaccharides are? Okay, very good. Okay, now, does anyone here know why people have an upset stomach when they drink milk? Okay. So some people, when they drink milk, they get an upset stomach. They are called lactose intolerant. Why does this happen? Does anyone know the answer? Okay, you? Very good. They get upset stomach because their bodies do not produce the enzyme responsible for breaking down the lactose from milk. Does anyone know what enzyme this is? Okay, Miss Nika. Okay. Another hand. Okay, okay, Mr. Larry. Okay. Great effort, Miss Nika, but the answer is lactase.
And now, let's finish the sentence by comparing monosaccharides and disaccharides through finishing the sentence. So the sentence is, today I learned that the comparison of monosaccharides and disaccharides is done. Okay, let's hear for 2 students. Please complete the sentence. Yes, Nika. Very good. Another hand. Yes, Paul. Well said. Thank you. Since everyone gains a fruitful of knowledge with our lesson today, let's now check your learnings. So get 1/4 sheet of paper and answer the following, which would be flashed in the screen. For part 1, it's called What Am I? The direction is, write the capital letter of your answer. Is everybody ready? You will now start answering. Is everybody finished? Thank you. And now, let's proceed to part 2, entitled Which is Which? And the direction is, compare monosaccharides with disaccharides briefly and concisely. For your scoring guide, content 4 points, structure 3 points, total of 7 points. Are you done? Good job. So, okay, let's check part 1, and for the part 2, I will be checking it later. Exchange paper with your seatmates. So, for the number 1, the answer is carbohydrates. And the number 2, monosaccharides. And for the number 3, is disaccharides. And you're done. Kindly pass it forward without standing or making any noise. Good job, everyone. All of you got the passing score. Let's give ourselves a resounding round of applause.
Okay, so learn ahead. For your assignment, please write it down. Okay, do an advanced read on polysaccharides. Answer the following questions in your science notebooks. So the first question is, what are polysaccharides? The second one is, what are the common polysaccharides that we have? Again, the first question is, what are polysaccharides? The second one is, what are the common polysaccharides that we have? For your scoring guide, content 3 points, structure 2 points, and with a total of 5 points. So that concludes our lesson for this day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, class. Okay, goodbye.